It is. Thank you and good evening. Councilmember Syak,
Here.
Councilmember Hudas,
Here.
Councilmember Badami,
Here.
Vice Mayor Risto,
Here.
Mayor and Chair Rennie.
Here.
And then we can run the rules of civility video.
Yep, go ahead, please.
The public is welcome to participate at Town Council meetings, understanding that the purpose of the meetings is to conduct the important business of the town in an efficient and effective manner. At each meeting, the following expectations of civil conduct shall apply. 1. For the benefit of the entire community, the Town of Los Gatos asks that all speakers follow the town's meeting guidelines by treating everyone with respect and dignity. This is done by following meeting guidelines set forth in state law, in the town code, and on the cover sheet of the council agenda. 2. The town embraces diversity and strongly condemns hate speech and offensive hateful language or racial intolerance of any kind at council meetings. 3. Town council and staff are well aware of the public's right to disagree with their professional opinion on various town issues. However, antisocial behavior, slander, hatred, and bigotry statements are completely unacceptable and will not be tolerated in any way, shape, or form at Town Council meetings. 4. All public comments at the Town Council meeting must pertain to items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the town and shall not contain slanderous statements, hatred, and bigotry against non-public officials. 5. The town will go through the following steps if a disturbance results from a member of the public not following these rules. If participating remotely, town staff may mute the individual with an explanation for the record of why muting occurred consistent with this policy. If participating in person, the mayor may call a recess for violation of this policy, resulting in the immediate cessation of the audio and video recording and the council exiting the chamber. Staff will determine if the individual should be removed or if all members of the public should leave, depending on the extent of the disturbance. In the event that all public members exit, only the press would be allowed back in the meeting. Once the individual or individuals leave, the council would return to the chamber and the mayor would resume the meeting. Persons disrupting a council meeting may be cited for violation of the California Penal Code Section 403. These expectations of conduct also apply to meetings of all town boards, committees, and commissions.
All right, thank you. So first up is going to be consent items. I guess I never really said this is the Town of Los Gatos Town Pension and OPEB Trust Oversight Committee meeting of March 1st. We've done a roll call and you've had our introductory video. So next on that agenda is consent items. We have two items on the consent agenda, which is approve the minutes of November 16th for the Pension and OPEB Trust Oversight Committee and receive our CalPERS per performance report. Would any members of the council wish to pull an item? Seeing none. I guess as our usual consent calendar, we would ask the public if any member of the public wishes to comment on the consent calendar. I see no attendees, so I will close the public comment and come back to council for a motion or comments. Councilmember Hudas.
I move to approve the minutes and the report.
Councilmember Sayat.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any comments from anybody? Not seeing any hands. I'll call the question. Vice Mayor Risto.
Aye.
Councilmember Sayat.
Yes.
Councilmember Badami.
Aye.
Councilmember Hudas.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. So that though the consent calendar passes unanimously, items 1 and 2. Next is verbal communication. And I'm assuming this is verbal communication for items not on the agenda. I'm not Would any members of the public wish to address us on that? There are no hands raised. So I'll close verbal communications and move on to agenda item number 3, which is the Los Gatos IRS Section 115 Pension Trust Statement, and turn it over to Mr. Andrews, I assume.
Thank you, Mayor and Town Council. This is really an administrative matter. You'll recall that back in April of 2021, we started to liquidate the Pension 115 Trust in order to do another amortization-based payoff. So there are currently no funds in this account, but the account remains open and at no cost to the town. And that concludes staff's report.
Let me open public comment for this item number 3. Not seeing any hands go up. I will close public comment and come back to council for questions, comments, motions. Councilmember Hudis.
I move to approve the item as stated in the report.
Great. Councilmember Badami.
Seconded.
Okay, I have a motion, a second. Would anybody wish to make any more comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Vice Mayor Risto.
Aye.
Councilmember Saya.
Yes.
Councilmember Badami.
Aye.
Councilmember Hudis.
Aye.
The mayor votes aye. So item number 3 passes unanimously. And that takes us to item number 4, which is our CRBT OPEB 115 Trust Performance and Market Summaries. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor and Town Council. So this is the summary for the primary vehicle that holds the OPEB assets for the town. You recall that the town is invested in what's referred to as CERBT Strategy 1, which is the strategy with the highest exposure to equity. You can see that for the period ending January 31st, 2021, the fund returned approximately a negative 2.19% for the quarter. However, you can see for the quarter between September and December, you will see that assets went from about 26 million to about 27.3 million. That's because returns through December were better than what occurred in January. And that concludes staff's report, and we're available for questions.
Let me start off and see if there's any members of the public which wish to address us. I don't see any hands being raised, so I will close public comment on this item and come back to council for questions. Councilmember Hudis.
I had no questions. I was going to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the report.
Okay, I have a motion. Vice Mayor Risto.
I will second the motion.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. Any council members wish to comment on this item? I do have one question before we call the question. What is our, do we know what our current funding ratio is for our OPEB account?
So we are expecting a new valuation report relatively soon, but my guesstimate is we're somewhere in the mid 70s to high 70s, just based on market performance to date. And I will say that we've gotten indications from Bartel that when they do come with a new valuation, they're probably going to lower the return assumptions for all 3 of the CERBT funds based on their capital market assumptions. And so we'll have to see what the ramification of that is when we do get an updated report.
All right, any other comments, questions? I will call the question. Vice Mayor Risto.
Aye.
Councilmember Sayat.
Yes.
Councilmember Badami.
Aye.
Councilmember Hudis.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. So item number 4 passes unanimously. And that is the end of our agenda. So I will adjourn this meeting of the Pension and OPEB Oversight Committee, and the Town Council meeting will start at 7 o'clock. We'll see you then.